Hello, this is an assessment in transit of a Model 4 Bechstein. This is 1888. The ivory keys are in very good condition for the age of the piano. It has 85 keys as the Bechstein Model 4s are. The casework is in excellent condition, no woodworm on the back or anywhere else, except perhaps this mark here which needs taking out, but generally this rosewood is very, very beautiful. A bit of a ring on the top here which can probably be disguised pretty well. A few scuff marks down there, but the piano doesn't need repolishing, it just needs tidying up a bit. Well, looking inside the piano, there's no moth, the felts have been replaced at some stage, and you see the tapes here have been replaced, but they're all sorts of lengths. So this one here, that's about right, where it all lifts off almost immediately. I'm moving the hammer here, and the tape more or less catches immediately, but this one here, that's much longer, so that's incorrect. The tape shouldn't be that long. To perform properly, it should take up more or less immediately. That also is about right, but this one is very long, and there's a huge variety of tapes here, some of them extremely long. So although they do their job of holding the bottom and the top part of the action together, they're not really accomplishing much else, and there's a lot of problems on the action. You can see some hammers have been broken and replaced. That's fine, the job's been done quite well, but there's some real problems here. For instance, if I play the D here, it just doesn't pull off. You press it down, and it's because the notch inside there is worn, and the felt at the back needs replacing, the notch needs replacing as well, because it's been graphited as well. So some work's been done, but also the set-off is extremely bad. Set-off is where you press the hammer towards the string, and they should nearly reach the string. Those two, that notch, that's the notch one, and that one there, let's have a look, see, that's a total disaster. It's hardly getting anywhere, even halfway to the string. The C, I think, that more or less, that's not too bad. It goes pretty much to the string. That would feel all right, but if you want to play softly, you can, amazingly. See, that doesn't play softly at all. You can play relatively softly. There's no real control over it whatsoever. That's played very soft, and this one just doesn't reach. So, and they're all like that. There's a huge variety. Now, if we have a look at the dampers, we'll see that those ones at the top are different, but they work all right. And you notice that damper there, so I press the pedal, I'm pressing the right-hand pedal here, and that damper doesn't pull off at all. And these dampers are quite a lot of variety in the places where they pull off. See there's one there not pulling off properly, hardly at all. And at the bottom, there's some that don't pull off. The bass end, bass two there, aren't pulling off at all. So huge variety, just not regulated really. And dampers to keys here, the spoons that regulate this are partly unregulated. I'm pressing two hammers adjacent to each other here. You see the damper of that one is moving off, and the damper of the other one doesn't move off until the very last minute. Hardly moves off at all, so it's hardly working. Whereas that one's lifting off much too early, so that feels very heavy, and this feels very light. There's lots of other repairs done too, as you can see, but they're quite functional, they work all right. And looking down the bottom here, it's been restrung at some stage. We can see there's a crack in the soundboard there. It's not going to affect the tone that much, if at all, but we can see here that there is a problem. We look at zero in on the bridge here, and we can see that the bridge is cracked. Hopefully you can see this on the video. If you look at the split there, that's obvious now. I can't get this focused properly. That's better, there we are. You can see that split bridge there. It's not actually sounding at the moment, those notes there, I'll play them in a second. I'll play those notes. Perhaps a slight buzz because of the bridge, but you can hardly notice it. The break point on this Model 4 Bechsteins is never particularly good. The tone here at the top break is a bit hard there. Going to compare it with another similar model. Before we do, just to say I've tested the tuning pins, and they're pretty tight, they're relatively tight, but you can see here that these ones have been knocked in as far as they can go, or nearly as far as they can go, and that's perhaps they can still go a bit further, and that is because they're a bit loose, I suspect. But they are tight now. You get a problem on tuning pins, even if you restring the piano. The tuning block behind here on Model 4s and Model 5 Bechsteins is susceptible to drying out. So we've had to replace rest planks, that's the wood behind, on several of them, and I've got a video of one where you see you've replaced the rest plank on Model 5. This is another Model 4 we have in the workshop, and you see it's been restrung very recently, and is in generally good condition. You watch the dampers here, all lifting off together. Lifting off slightly late, we'll have to adjust that, it's only just come in. There's also a few loose hinge pins here. On the other one, by the way, there were loose hinge pins too, so they need sorting out. This has had replaced hammers, and the tone here is really sweet, as it should be. If there's no problem with the soundboard, then the tone here should be nice and sweet, but you often get, over the years, the soundboard loses its crown and the tone here gets a bit brash. The breakpoint's not incredibly good on this one, but no Model 4's got a good breakpoint here. The Model 5 is excellent because it's a straight strung piano. Here's a Bechstein Model 4 that's just been restrung, and the dampers are lifting off perfectly in this one, very, very beautifully indeed. The hammers, you can see, are perfect as well. They're recovered hammers, these ones, I think, and the dampers are good as well, good adjustments. We have a bit of a patch here. Where the sound doesn't carry as much as you'd expect it to. So you got, well, this is back to the original piano. Apart from that note, which is a bit dry, that would be because of the soundboard at that point, where the bridge is divided at that point. You often get that on this model. You get it on a lot of pianos actually, including modern ones. Let's take another look at these dampers after we've seen the others. It's just unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before, where it's obviously been worked on but not regulated properly. And let's look at these two dampers lifting off again. One an awful lot earlier than the other. That's very, very odd, considering the tapes have been replaced and the felts under the keys have been replaced too. In fact, mentioning the felts under the keys, the key dip's too great, really. Now, I like a slightly deep key dip, but this is even deeper. You see, that's an 11, which I set them at, and it must be about 12 all the way through the keyboard, so that's incorrect too. Now, the only serious problem, really serious problem, difficult to sort out, is this crack on the bridge here. That really means taking all the strings off and recapping the bridge. A couple of other points. These hammers have been refaced, and I don't think they had original hammers. And this one, and there's several loose pins there. And you can also see on the right hand pedal there, that's the one that gets used, and you can see how it's worn, how much use the piano must have had. That doesn't matter if it's been properly restored afterwards. Forgot to mention there's a couple of strings here that's been replaced. See the lighter coloured copper there. As a result, they're out of tune because they haven't been tuned for a while. That one there and further up. And one missing. If you look here, there's one missing there. That needs replacing. So that's the Bechstein Model 4 upright, 1888. Don't worry about the age, there's plenty of good pianos of this age, though things like the soundboard, if it starts to lose its crown, that is a problem. If this was a stock piano, we would completely redo the whole thing. Hammers, rest plank where the tuning pins go in, put a modern one in. There are lots of Model 4s around, so if you have a Model 4, they vary enormously. This one has been restored. There's several aspects that are really problematic on it, but it still plays. And what tends to happen is the piano people keep them going. But it really does need restoring. It's not very sensitive to play at all. As you're listening to that, you're thinking, well, it sounds reasonable. The truth is, it'll just keep on going, but it's totally insensitive to play. It's really hard to play sensitively. I'm having to really press hard to make them all work. I can't go loud and soft, and some of them don't work very well at all if you try and play that one softly. So, difficult decision. Redo the whole piano, expensive, that's the right decision to make. The casework's amazingly nice, and these old rosewood pianos are so beautiful, really. So, difficult to decide for you. We assess pianos in transit. We assess all the piano, offer to assess high quality pianos in transit, give you this video to decide what's the best thing to do with your piano. Thank you very much for listening.